Hello, dear friend. It's Carly here on the I Learned podcast, episode 2. Um, I'm very excited to see what on earth this episode is going to be because I have a page of notes in front of me. And as I got up to refill my coffee, which is something, if you know me, I'm doing it all day long. But as I got up to get more coffee, I suddenly had this idea to talk about something completely different. And that is just, again, if you know me, you know that that is the epitome of who I am. That I could have a whole plan and change my mind at the last minute and be okay with it. Actually prefer to do whatever's coming in the moment because to me, I mean, that's honestly my definition of authenticity. We can plan to show the world one thing and in the moment feel our heart pull us to something different and understand mm, that the energy that's being pulled out of us at any time, it's right. And to trust that, that's something that I've learned to trust that energy of the moment because I like the results I get when I do that. When I go with my own flow, when I let the path unfold beneath my feet, I really, really, really enjoy those paths. And when to be honest, when I try to figure it out, when I try to make a plan, and I'm sitting here literally like not even 5 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago, and thinking, okay, what am I going to say and how am I going to put it together and what's my transition going to be to get into this story and what's the point of this story? Need to make sure that I really hit that point home. Like this is the conversation I'm having and I'm like, "Oh my God, fuck this. I don't even want to do it anymore. You're making it too hard." That's the other piece of me. And so that piece almost always wins, thank goodness, and says fuck it and presses record. And here we are, 2 minutes and 18, 19 seconds into it. So we'll see. We'll see what this episode turns into. But I do know I want to talk just a little bit more. I talked a little bit on the first episode. I want to talk about what I want this podcast to be, what I envision it being, how I want it to feel. I want to describe that a little bit because I want it to feel oh, I want it to feel authentic. I want it to feel genuine. I want people to be able to connect to the emotions I'm describing because I want to be emotionally honest. I want to not hide the spectrum of emotion, like there's a lot on that spectrum, everything from pure and total what I call sizzling bliss where you are just like you literally your skin is tingling, you feel so freaking great, all the way down to despair where you feel like your inside is literally caving in on itself and falling down this bottomless pit, but then you feel your chest and it's all still there and it's like I don't even understand how can somebody feel this empty. So I've felt it. I felt it. I felt it all. And I spent a lot more time, I'll be honest, on the negative end of the spectrum. Negative, I'm again using air quotes. I spent a lot more time in the negative realms of depression and anxiety and self doubt and being really critical of myself, demanding perfection or as close as I could possibly get. And again, like all it did to me was stall me out and make me feel stuck because I was being really hard on myself. I was telling myself over and over again, you're not good enough. It's not good enough yet. You can't start because you don't have this figured out. You don't know what this is going to be. And again, that's where I'm so glad I have whatever part of me it is that is like, no, come on, let's do it. And out the plane door we go. We're falling, we're skydiving. Like it's an exercise in taking a leap of faith. And I'm so glad that there's a little part of me that has always like needed to go, like needed to jump, like just let's just do it. Let's blaze a new trail. Let's figure out, like, leave some stuff unknown. That's fine. We can handle the unknown. But like, let's just go for it. Exactly like what I talked about on the first episode. There's been a little part of me that's haunted me with that go for it talk the whole time. And, for the first, I would say, I really started well, I think it's pretty common that our emotions get turned up in intensity when we go through puberty. So that was certainly true for me around 13, 14, going through puberty. My emotions became very intense is the best way to describe it. And really that never changed. I mean, I still have really intense emotions. And when that first started, it overwhelmed me to the point where all I could do was just basically be stuck under this like tidal wave of emotions, of constant emotions. And it took me probably 10 to 12 years to like get productive with that energy, because that's all it is. It's energy. Emotions are information about the results of our focus. We're choosing to point our attention in a certain direction, and our emotions are letting us know that either that is heading towards what you want or it's not. It's heading away from what you want. So a negative emotion is an indicator, a very helpful, useful indicator that you're actually walking away from what you want, by pointing your attention in that direction, by having the thoughts that you're having at that moment, that you're experiencing the negative emotion, you are heading away from what you desire. Not what somebody thinks you should have, or what somebody thinks you should be doing, or what, God needs you to do so you can get into heaven. Apologies for the sarcasm, but it's kind of intentional. Nobody is enforcing anything on you. You have desires, things that you've wanted throughout your life, dreams that you've had. Oh, I think I'm going to sneeze. Usually just talking about the sneeze, it's gone. There's another thing I've learned. My friend, when we were little, she used to say that if you say elephant, elephant, peanut, peanut, then you don't sneeze. Which I don't even know. Why would you even want to deprive yourself of a sneeze? Like, it's actually kind of a pleasurable ordeal. Anywho, we've gotten off track. This is what happens. Let's see if I can kitten paddle back over to what I was saying. That doesn't always work out. Typically the path is forward. The path is only forward. So if I've lost my train of thought, chances are we're just going to have to move on to something else. So that's a little bit about what I envision this podcast being. I want to talk about all of the emotions on the spectrum, and how we can use those emotions to navigate ourselves to what we want, to use that energy that is flowing through us constantly in a productive way. So I've learned how to do that, and I am happier than I've ever been. I'm more creative than I've ever been. I'm more in my own flow of things and getting ideas for, basically the path is lighting up beneath my feet. I don't have to like really sit here in the quiet at my desk with a blank page going like, okay, so what do I want to do? No, it's like I wake up in the morning and I can't not record a podcast episode. I sit here in the evening and I can't not, publish this event on the calendar that, oh, I got this idea and I really want to do an event on Gemini midheavens because I know a bunch of them, and like they just keep showing up in my life. So I'm going to do this event on Gemini midheavens. And then it's like so fun, and I'm so excited to get to do it, that publishing that event on the calendar, writing the description of the event, making the graphic for the event, making the Zoom, putting it all on Meetup, putting it over on Facebook, doing the actual work of launching the idea is effortless because my passion is undeniable. I can't not do it. I don't know if you guys have heard, like either it's a hell yes, and if it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no. So if we're at all unsure about, okay, is this the right thing? Is this the right thing? Which way should I be doing it? If that's where you are, best to just drop it for a minute and refocus yourself. Point your attention to something that you're really excited about, really curious about, really easy about, really in the flow about. It's fun, it's relaxing, whatever that thing is that can chill you out, and let your cork float for just a second. Take a deep breath. Go for a walk outside. Go for a walk around the building, like it doesn't have to be anything huge or cost money or anything. Like it's just a moment to let go of that previous thought where I'm not getting a hell yes out of any of this. And so I can't move forward. I only move forward on hell yes energy. Like that's something that I've learned. And again, I learned because I like the results. I like the results when I get an inspired idea and I let the passion push me to actually take action on it. So at that point, it's inspired action. And I really, really, really like the results of how that all turns out. And I've had enough moments, I've had enough ordeals in my life where none of the options were giving me a hell yes, but I forced myself to pick one anyway and to do whatever it was anyway. And I can tell you those results, they're not near as good. It's not near as good when we take action before the energy's ready. Like when I'm so inspired that I can't not do it, that's telling me, and this is how I interpret it, you do you always, but here's what I'm doing is interpreting that undeniable hell yes inspired energy as this is the perfect time. This is the absolute perfect time for whatever this is to exist. So trust that and go with it. So again, this is all a theory that someone taught me. And as I took it in, I ran it against my own experiences and was kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm not really I don't feel good on a daily basis. That wasn't something that I could say before I learned all of this. I actually felt mostly depressed. That was probably my set point, was depressed. And it went down from there and it got a tiny bit better from there, but mostly I was depressed. So I didn't like how I felt in my life on a daily basis. And so already when she's talking about, Abraham Hicks is who I learned all of this from, this how to use your emotions to navigate your life, basically, this emotional guidance system that we all have. Those emotions, they tell you so much information. And if we're not able to understand how to interpret that information, it can do exactly what it did to me and just bowl you over. Just like, I mean, that's why I say, like, I was just depressed. I was like in my bed for like 10 years, like barely functioning, like trying to put on a face and be productive in society when you're just miserable on the inside because you basically, my emotions were telling me, like, you're not, these thoughts that you're having, which I could say more about those thoughts in a second, these thoughts that you're having, you're walking away from what you want. And the thoughts that I was having is that I was ugly, that I wasn't as smart as these other people, that I wish I was smarter like they are. I don't have social skills. I can't make friends. I'm so lonely, like nobody understands me. This is the story that I was telling. And I felt fucking miserable, and no wonder, because that's a miserable story. That's a sad, lonely life right there. And it was. And so when Abraham shows up in my life, July 9th, 2016, yes, I know the date because it changed my fucking life. It did. It changed everything. Exactly what she said. It all resonated as true for me as I listened to her say it. And then in the 4.5 years since then, I've put it to the test, starting with, I made a choice. So I found her July 9th, 2016, and December 10th, 11th, it was right in there, 2016. So just a few months later, I quit my job at the software company and basically decided that I was going to spend a year testing the theories that Abraham Hicks has given me. I'm going to jump off that cliff that she's always talking about. I'm going to trust source. I'm going to trust that that everything is always working out for me. I'm going to trust that what she's saying about positive emotion and negative emotion, about hell yes energy, about passionate energy, inspired action and inspired ideas, inspired timing, I'm going to trust that that's all real. And I'm going to see what happens. I got some money. I got some money in the bank, in a savings account that I could support myself for a little while and test these theories. And it changed everything. It changed the entire course of my life because it didn't take a year to work, if that's what you want to call it. It started working immediately, like right after I quit. It was just a couple days later. Basically what I said is I go into this time of like looking at my calendar and I have nothing on it for the next like 50 years. I'm just free. I'm totally free. I don't have a job to go to. I have no plans. I just am going to see what unfolds. I'm going to put myself in a place of no expectation and reach for positive energy as much as I possibly can. I'm going to raise my own vibration. I'm going to point my attention to things that feel really, really, really good and see if it's real, that the universe matches that. Does the universe really match our vibration? Am I really the reason that I feel so bad? Like, she's over here telling me I'm the deliberate creator, or I am the creator of my reality. And I'm looking around like, I'm fucking miserable. You're telling me I'm doing this? Really? That was a tough pill to swallow. It really was. But, oh my gosh, like medicine that healed my whole world in terms of understanding that if you don't feel good with the way you're pointing your energy, nothing productive is coming out of that. Absolutely nothing. And when you point your energy on purpose at things that feel good, everything comes out of that. Every single thing that you've ever wished for is on the path of most fun. That's what she calls it. Abraham Hicks is calling it the path of most fun. And that analogy really resonated with me. Was like, I already like to have fun. I'm really geared towards having a fun life. And that's part of, the trauma of being lonely and depressed, is that I felt like I really was like holding myself back from having a fun life. Like on some level, I think I already knew that, because even when I did get invited to go places, I'd be like freaking depressed. Like, or I'm in there trying to find an outfit that I don't look terrible in. And I'm like, oh God, this role, and my face is ugly, and my hair won't do anything like what I want it to do. And like, so then I can't even go. I can't even go to the fun experience because I'm so unhappy with myself. Like, that's where I was. So when she's talking about all you have to do is point your attention to something that feels good and your life can be a reflection of that. Okay. I saw enough little proof, like little evidence of that in my life experience in the 4 months between finding her and quitting my job. And then it was just a matter of finding the right day, so it was very interesting. For a few weeks leading up to quitting, I would be in my morning time, in my focusing on purpose time, and the idea would come: quit your job. Like, just walk away from that. Like, you don't need that. You don't need to be doing that. And I, like, being, somewhat practical, I'm like, I can't quit my job. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't have anything else lined up. I don't know what I want to do next. Like, why on earth would I quit my job? That's silly. And so, I go to work again that day and like keep going to work. And then the idea comes again. And about the third time it came, it was like, today's the day. Enough is enough. I'm going to quit my job. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't message a single person. I went to work. I got on my work computer. I Googled, how do you quit your job? And it gave me some steps and a link to a resignation letter template. So I filled that in real quick. I sent my boss an email, and an hour later, I was in a conference room handing in my resignation from my job of 5.5 years. And that was the plan, was to jump off the cliff and give it a year and see if I created a really high vibration, like what she's saying, if I create really, really good feeling energy inside of myself, will the universe bring me things that match that? And just the highlights of how that, even just that first year unfolded. Granted, this was 4.5 years ago. So again, I say it started a couple of days after I quit my job. I was on the path of saying yes to whatever the universe brought me, that thought that, the universe brought me something that thinks that this is a match to my current vibration. So I'm going to say yes to it. So the first thing was my friend Lauren setting the intention that she needs to go visit her friend in Japan. And her friend is in the Navy and is a doctor and is stationed there, and she's going to be coming back soon. And so Lauren wants to go and visit this friend in Japan and asks me, do I want to go? And we'd probably be visiting at least one other country while we're on this trip. And I was like, hell yes, I want to go. Like, okay, this is amazing. Yeah, when do we go? She's like, well, we leave 6 days from now. And I'm like, great, that's fantastic. So this puts us getting into Japan right before New Year's Eve. I think we spent a couple days in Tokyo and then got to Okinawa on New Year's Eve. So I rang in the new year of 2017 on a beach around a bonfire in Okinawa, Japan. And I was like, okay, so I think my life is going to be different now. I think my life has officially changed. This is incredible. Oh my gosh. And it only got better from there. So yeah, we spent 2.5 weeks. We were in Japan first and then in Thailand and came back from that trip. That was fascinating exercise and sleep deprivation. Our trip home was like 60 hours long and I cannot sleep without a bed. So I only got 8 hours sleep in those 60 hours. And it was interesting to come home from that and basically feel like a walking zombie for a couple weeks. But I had the beauty of like nowhere to be. So I just allowed my sleep schedule to reorient itself. However, it took a few weeks to like get back on a regular sleep schedule, like oriented to Dallas time. But that was okay because I had nothing but time on my hands. So I just kept doing my thing, kept writing my gratitude lists, like getting up and doing my morning time, even if that was at 10 o'clock at night, because that was, morning at that point. I just kept doing my thing. And eventually I felt better. I felt rested. My energy came back. And about that time, my friend Taylor was like, hey, I got to go to Sydney, Australia for work. Do you want to come? You can share my hotel room, so you just need to buy yourself a plane ticket. And I really want to go to New Zealand after we're done in Sydney, so spend a few days in New Zealand on our way back. So we did that in March, and when I got back from that trip, it was time to go see my friend Sierra. So I drove 16 hours from Dallas to Delta, Colorado. And I spent about a week there with her and her parents and had an amazing time. We boated and got to catch up, and just Colorado in general is always a great time, especially in the summer. It was gorgeous. And by the time I got back from that, it was basically my birthday, and right around the corner from there was the end of my lease in Dallas. So it was time to move to Kansas because my cousin Chad had pitched me the idea of opening a grocery store in our hometown. And there it was. There it was. This was going to be my first ever business. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but had never opened a business before. And so this would be it. A grocery store in my hometown. It took us about 10 months to plan the business, do the remodel, and open the doors. And actually, it's really great. Yesterday was our 3-year anniversary of the store being opened. It opened February 28th of 2018. So that all unfolded because I was willing to bet my future on this truth that had resonated with me, that if I raise my vibration, the universe will deliver things that match it. And I can tell you the key ingredient to letting that happen was the faith that, I jumped off the cliff because I believed I was ready. I saw it. I saw it for myself in smaller forms of as my vibration was raising, I could see like my whole life was getting more positive, basically day after day after day. So I could see it happening. And I was like, wow, if I had all this time from quitting my job to do nothing but create this beautiful, beautiful energy within myself, just imagine what the universe could deliver to me. So at this point, 4.5 years later, I did open that grocery store. That was my first business. Uh, and here, about 8 months ago, we installed a new store manager in that business. That means I am no longer part of the day to day operations of my grocery store. Uh, so I'm able to basically do it again, to clear my space, clear my energy, and make my energy as positive as I possibly can with all this free space on my hands. And the universe delivered it again. I launched my spiritual business, my spirit, where I'm offering my spiritual gifts. I launched that October of 2020 with my very first paid reading. I gave a natal chart reading and earned money for it. So I'm calling that the beginning of my spiritual business. Um, and it's gaining momentum all the time. And I'm getting new ideas for new things that I want to offer, new hell yes ideas. Uh, I'm just riding that wave of hell yes energy. And if in the moment, I feel like one of my superpowers, if in the moment I'm not getting a hell yes, that's time for a nap. That's time to watch something on Netflix. That's time to crack open a beer. That's time to go, oh my goodness, I cannot wait for it to warm back up so I can go outside and walk barefoot in the grass. If you haven't seen the Earthing movie, I highly recommend it. It's free on YouTube. All about the science of why connecting your bare skin to the planet is a real that's a real thing. That's a real health benefit that we should all be taking advantage of as often as possible. A little harder to do in winter, but anywho, again, I've gotten off track. I've rambled. Nope, it's gone. I think that's probably an okay place to leave that. That's a lot. That's a lot of what I've learned and very foundational stuff. Very, very foundational as far as so many of the other opportunities to rendezvous with the other things that I've learned happened because I chose to walk this path of following my inspired ideas, following the timing that I'm inspired with in terms of if I can't feel the hell yes energy, I'm not doing anything about it. I'll go take a nap. I'll take the day off. I'll cancel appointments. I don't care. If the energy's not lined up, it is not the right time. And I don't owe anybody, I don't owe anybody the me keeping a schedule. I follow my inspired moments. And when I feel like doing something, I know that that's the perfect time to do that thing. So that is one of the key ways that I choose to operate, and I feel like it serves me really well. So hopefully there's a nugget in there for you, and I'll be back with episode 3, I'm guessing in no time. So you all have a great rest of your day.